All right, teachers, welcome. Today, we're diving into how you can kickstart the AP Research course with a really powerful and effective Cycle 1. These first few weeks are just absolutely critical. They lay the foundation and set the whole tone for the rest of the year.
So let's just get right into it. The big question is, how do you build a researcher completely from scratch? Well, you have to think of AP Research less like a normal class and more like a marathon, right? It's all about building skills, and your students are the athletes. These first few weeks, this is their training camp. This is where we build the foundational muscles they're going to need to go the distance. A strong start isn't just a nice to have, it's everything.
Okay, so where do we even begin? With the blueprint. Before any student can jump into doing the research, we've got to help them understand what research actually is. This first part of the year is all about pulling back the curtain, demystifying the whole process, and this is huge, helping them find their own identity as a researcher.
This chart right here is a fantastic starting point because it illustrates a really crucial idea. Knowledge is not one size fits all. I mean, just look at the different columns. The method of inquiring in history, which is all about interpreting primary sources, is completely different from the scientific method that relies on controlled experiments. Same goes for how you gather and analyze info in the humanities versus the arts. This visual is just a perfect launchpad for a class discussion on why a historian and a chemist are going to approach truth in totally different ways.
And this leads to a really powerful aha moment for students. Their own personality actually shapes how they approach research. The AP Workbook has this great survey that helps them pinpoint their personal style. Are they a big-picture conceptual theorist who just loves grand ideas? Or are they a detail-obsessed analytical scientist who needs everything to be precise? Knowing this doesn't just put them in a box. No, it's more like a compass that can guide them toward a research area they will be genuinely passionate about.
Okay, so now that they're starting to find their research identity, we have to talk about the rules of the road, academic integrity. And it's so important to cover this right from the get-go. But instead of framing it as a boring list of don'ts, let's present it as the professional code of conduct for the entire academic community. These are the very standards that are going to give their work real power and credibility.
First up, the big one, plagiarism. We've got to go way beyond just saying don't copy and really dig into why attribution is so important. This is also the perfect moment to establish your classroom's policy on generative AI tools. You can frame it as a modern-day extension of giving credit where credit is due, and, most importantly, maintaining their own authentic voice. Next, we have to be crystal clear about falsification and fabrication. These are not just mistakes. They're serious ethical breaches that completely undermine the whole point of doing research. Making it clear from day one that manipulating or just plain making up data is an absolute non-starter is, well, it's non-negotiable.
So how do we get these abstract rules to actually stick? We make them real. Instead of just lecturing with definitions, use the ethical scenarios from the workbook. Get students debating them in small groups. I mean, look at that first one. A student uses an uncited note. Is that intentional plagiarism, or is it an honest citation mistake? Wrestling with these kinds of gray areas is what really builds deep understanding.
So, with the researcher mindset and the rules of academic integrity in place, it is time to open up the toolbox. Cycle 1 is all about equipping our students with the hands-on skills they need to turn that little flicker of an idea into a focused, manageable inquiry.
One of the most powerful first tools you can give your students is this problem statement template. We've all seen it, right? A student starts with a topic that's way too broad, something like climate change. This simple fill-in-the-blank forces them to narrow their focus, to identify a specific, tangible problem, and to explain exactly why it matters. It can be a total game changer for their approach.
Next up, we have to teach them to be critical consumers of information. Arm your students with these 4 simple but incredibly powerful questions to evaluate every single source they find. This little credibility test turns them from just passive readers into active analytical thinkers.
And finally, let's reframe the annotated bibliography. Instead of it being this tedious chore they have to get through, let's sell it as their personal research journal. This isn't just about listing sources, it's a dynamic tool where they're documenting their own intellectual journey, where they can argue with other scholars right there on the page, and where they start to figure out where their own unique voice fits into this big academic conversation.
Okay, a blueprint and a toolbox are great, but they're pretty much useless without practice. Cycle 1 is the perfect time for low-stakes application. This is where we build student confidence, but just getting them really comfortable with the rhythm and the language of academic research. Here is such a powerful strategy. Don't hide the rubric. Introduce the official AP rubrics for the paper and the presentation on day 1.
Better yet, turn your students into the graders. Have them use those rubrics to score sample papers and presentations, the good, the bad, and the brilliant. When students can actually speak the language of the rubric, they internalize the expectations and they truly take ownership of their own success. And here's another fantastic low-stakes practice activity, the elevator speech. This little template gives students a super simple framework to talk about their entire project. Have them practice on a partner, then in a small group. It's such a brilliant way to build public speaking confidence, and it forces them to boil down complex ideas into a clear, concise message. It gets them ready for that final presentation right from the very beginning.
It's also so important to show students the incredible diversity of what a final AP research project can even look like. You can show them exemplars just like these. On the one hand, you've got an engineering project that resulted in a physical model testing airflow in termite mounds. And on the other, a deep historical analysis of gardens in an internment amp. Both are completely valid, totally rigorous, and fascinating inquiries. Showing these side by side really opens their minds to what's possible.
So let's bring it all together. A thoughtfully planned, well-executed Cycle 1 does so much more than just teach a list of glossary terms. It literally transforms student anxiety into genuine curiosity. It builds their confidence, it fosters their independence, and it sets the stage for a successful, rewarding, year-long research journey. By investing heavily in these foundational concepts, these tools, and these practices, you're doing more than just teaching a course. You are building a researcher from the ground up. You're empowering them for this incredible journey ahead. So the real question is, what's going to be the first block you lay in your students' foundation?